Welcome to Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having fantastic Tuesdays, wherever you may be across this great nation or this great land. We have got a bunch to get to right off of the top. On Monday, we had our second straight day of 90% death decreases, and it received almost no mention in the media at all. Only 285 deaths. That is down roughly 90% from the peak set on April 21st. You would think that 2 straight days, a Sunday and a Monday, of 90% decrease in the overall death rate would be a story worthy of covering in the media. If you would think that, you would be wrong, because one of the only places you're hearing about it from is me. Now, for the Corona bros out there, running around like their hair is on fire, convinced the world is coming to an end, all right? Tuesday's numbers are going to go up. They appear like they're going to be down somewhat from last week, as is the overall trend line. And at some point, we are going to hit a bottom, right? Because the virus isn't going away completely, although Dr. Anthony, I give my own second opinions, Fauci, has now come out and said he expects for there to be a vaccine by the fall or the early part of 2021. So that is at least a positive, although we'll see whether he maintains that optimistic view. But in the meantime, the numbers have declined by 90%. And to put it into perspective, yesterday, there would have been around 7,200 people who died of something in the United States other than the coronavirus. All right? Remember back in the day when we had all these ridiculous phrases like flatten the curve and everything else? We did that. No hospital has ever been overloaded. We had plenty of hospital space. We have plenty of hospital space in Arizona, in Texas, in Florida. People are fine, all right, in terms of hospital space. But this is a really strange media obsession that great news in terms of the overall death rate collapsing, the bottom falling out of it, it doesn't make any sense at all that this wouldn't be a major point of coverage. And that the overall trend line is going down wouldn't be a major point of coverage. And that even in the places where we are seeing more cases right now, it is typically people in their 20s and 30s who are out partying, chasing members of the opposite sex after being cooped up for months. Which is why my argument for everybody out there is, if you're young and healthy and you want to be out, I understand that. That's what's going on at LSU and Clemson and all the other schools where guys are testing positive. But if you're out doing that and you're going to be asymptomatic, as the data is likely to reflect, stay away from older people. Don't hang out with your grandparents. If your parents are elderly, stay away from them. Aunts, uncles, everybody else. We don't necessarily have any major issues going on in the sports leagues. And in fact, the more players who get it in an asymptomatic fashion, the more herd immunity we're going to have in the overall issues associated with the coronavirus. So I've been giving you the straight facts for a while. Again, a 90% death rate on Sunday and Monday decline from April 21st, 285 deaths, second straight day, 90% below the peak set on April 21st. Crickets from the media. Major League Baseball is finally allegedly back. I feel bad talking about Major League Baseball every day like we have been for months, but it appears that Major League Baseball is now going to play 60 games, that they are going to report next week on July 1st for the beginning of spring training part 2 officially, and that according to reports, the games would commence around July 23rd or 24th. Now, this is at least a positive for all the sports fans out there, because by the end of July, we're talking about Major League Baseball, the NBA, MLS, and the NHL all being underway in a traditional part of the season where they're not active in the way that they would be here. And then that's going to lead right into college football and the NFL both being played. Now, I don't know if you saw this story, and I think it's wildly inaccurate, but the mayor of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where the University of Alabama is located, said if there's no football season, that it would cost Tuscaloosa $2 billion. That's billion with a B. I don't know where they did the math, but that seems a lot higher than probable numbers would be. But the hit that it would be from an economic perspective is absolutely going to be seismic, which is why I believe we will play college football. And I was talking today earlier with my guys at Jock's Roundtable in Birmingham, and they raised an interesting question. If players keep testing positive, are they going to have to quarantine athletes from the overall population of students? Because students are going to test positive too, except most of them are not going to be getting tested regularly. And I don't know what the answer would be there, but this is why I have argued that I think there might not be a bowl season this year, right? If you want me to project college football, I think we'll be fine going September, basically up to Thanksgiving, and a relatively few teams play conference title games. But I don't think we're going to have all the mid-tier bowls. I don't think that there will be a justification, in my opinion, to bring back all the players so that they go play in the Birmingham Bowl, or that they go play in the Outback Bowl, or any of the bowl games outside of the college football playoff. I think there's a good chance that bowl season disappears for this year. Because if you think about it, if you bring all the players, if you finish your regular season, you let them go home for exams and for Thanksgiving, and then you bring them back, all potentially getting sick over Thanksgiving break, to play in a bowl that's relatively meaningless. I think that there's probably a good chance bowl season is canceled this year. You play the conference title games, you play the big playoff games, and maybe you even accelerate the conference, the bowl season, the playoff season. But that's what I would be focused on if nothing else in college football. But again, Major League Baseball coming back. All right, let's talk about this Bubba Wallace controversy. This is strange, okay? NASCAR announces late on Sunday night that there has been a noose found at Bubba Wallace's garage in Talladega. They still have not released any of the pictures. The FBI has theoretically been investigating for 2 days. Are there no cameras that have clear evidence of what went on? Why have we not seen the evidence at this point in time? All right, here's what needs to happen. NASCAR needs to come out at this point, after nearly 2 days, we're approaching 48 hours of virtually no comment, and actually say, here is the evidence, and they need to charge somebody, right? Or they need to say, hey, here's what we think actually happened. They need to explain themselves, all right? And people get mad when you don't immediately believe a story that is put out there, but this is the job of a lawyer, right? When you are a lawyer, your job, this is me putting on my lawyer hat, your job is not to accept everything at face value, and it should be the job of the media. The media should question everything, okay? Instead of getting on social media and immediately having a reaction to something that may or may not have occurred, let's not put the cart before the horse, all right? Here is what the evidence might show, right? To me, there are three things that could be going on here. One, there is someone who is racist, and they put a noose in some form or fashion in the vicinity of Bubba Wallace's garage, and that person should be caught. That person should be banned for life from NASCAR, and that person should also have to face potentially criminal consequences for their behavior. That's option one. Option two is, out of a height of nervousness and apprehension, we may have overreacted to what we thought was a noose, and there is a more innocuous and less dangerous explanation for what happened, right? This is like on a college campus, there was a report that there were KKK members, and it turned out that it was microscopes with hoods over the top of them when they actually went to investigate, right? sometimes because your heightened sense of fear is set up, sometimes you might overreact to something that is not actually a threat, okay? That is a possibility as well. And then the third possibility is this is a hoax, all right? All three of those have to be considered by any investigator, because you can't begin an investigation with the idea of what you believe has already happened, okay? And that's particularly the case when we have seen stories take off and run wild before they're actually investigated and we figure out exactly what is going on, all right? So that is what needs to happen. We need to have an investigation, and NASCAR now needs to come out and explain exactly what happened so that everybody can understand it and also have the full data in front of them now that it has been 2 days since this story initially broke. Now, I'm not prejudging or pre-ranking or pre-analyzing any of this. I'm just saying the job of an investigator, whether it's the FBI, whether it's whoever NASCAR has, whatever is going on there, it needs to be released to the public so they can see for themselves what the data and facts in this case are, so that we can now all know 2 days later what happened. If this story disappears, that's not a valid position for NASCAR to have. This story has to have a resolution. Somebody charged, mistaken identity, error of judgment, whatever it is, we need to know exactly what happened. And again, what I would say, and this is why people get mad at me, I say I only care about three things: the facts, the facts, the facts, okay? And everybody else, it seems like in media now, wants to react before they know what actually happened. And the cliche here that I'm using is they're putting the cart before the horse. You can't react to an incident until you know what actually happened with the incident, okay? So that is where I am on the Bubba Wallace story as we now approach 48 hours. And let me just reiterate this. It ain't a complicated story, all right? This should not be a hard case to investigate. We're not talking about a missing person. We're not talking about who killed someone. We're not talking about whether or not there might have been a sexual assault. All of these cases can be complicated to investigate. We're talking about a private venue which had limited access to it, either having or not having a noose put outside of it. There's either a crime here or there is not a crime. We need to know what actually ended up happening here. All right, speaking of happening, the ESPYs happened on Sunday. A lot of you may not have known the ESPYs were going on because their ratings dropped 81%. ESPN hit an all-time low for the ESPYs. And some of you out there are like, well, sports are not going on. When the ESPYs air, there are never sports going on. It is always an entertainment-based show. And what has happened is ESPN has fallen once more, just like they did 4 years ago into an election year. They have fallen into the Wokecenter trap. Their ratings are plummeting, the likes of which have never existed in the history of the network. And that's because they are leaning aggressively into Wokecenter. All right? People can say, well, there's not sports going on. My audience is going up. We're going to have millions of people on our website. We are going to have millions of people listening to our podcast. We are going to have millions of people listening to our radio show. So sports not going on, if you're doing a good job of content, is not an excuse for why your programming around sports should be collapsing. They put on good content with The Last Dance, ESPN did. The ratings soared. There was no sports going on. It was just because they put on actually relevant topics and stories that people wanted to watch. Right now, they are not doing it, and you're not getting a lot of people hearing a lot of people talking about it, but ESPN is collapsing because they are embracing Wokecenter again. All right. Bill Simmons has been trending for like the last couple of days because people are mad at him. This is one of the dumbest controversies I've ever seen. I don't know Bill Simmons personally. but he created a business that is employing, I believe, I read the New York Times article, like 90 people. And those people may well not be employed but for Bill Simmons. And this to me is an example of, if you have a company and you allow the woke universe to take it over, they will eventually try and destroy you, even though you are the reason they have a job. So we're seeing with Bill Simmons. Guy gives these people jobs that they otherwise wouldn't have, pays them far more than they would otherwise make, and what do they do for him? They come after him. This, to me, is a utter indictment of woke culture. And let me just say this. We have got woke culture that is so out of control right now that there are people advocating for statues of Jesus to be torn down. There are people advocating for churches to have their Jesus statues torn down and destroyed. People want to pull down statues of George Washington. They are doing it. People want to pull down statues of Thomas Jefferson. They are doing it. They want to do it to Ulysses Grant. This is not about Confederate statues anymore. This is about people who hate America wanting to destroy America. And so, this is where the line must be drawn, all right? I don't care what your politics are. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, whatever you are. We can't have anyone destroying statues that exist in public venues, period. You can't allow it. This is one where I agree with the president. There should be serious consequences for anyone who destroys a public statue. If you want to debate and argue, if you want to vote that a statue shouldn't exist anymore, I will disagree with you, because I think erasing history is the wrong decision to make. That is what Islamic fundamentalists do when the Bible or their religion is in any way challenged. That is what theocracies do. That is what totalitarians do. I don't agree with any of this, okay? But there is no argument anymore that the slippery slope will lead to people demanding that Mount Rushmore be destroyed, to people demanding that the Washington Monument be destroyed, that the Jefferson Memorial be destroyed, and that the city of Washington be renamed. You cannot negotiate with woke people. Just like you can't negotiate with terrorists. They are not rational people. They're not suddenly going to be like, okay, this is a good deal. Let's shake on it. We're finished. No, it goes on and on and on. It doesn't end. And this is the mistake I think people have made, companies trying to placate the woke idiots. You'll never hear me apologize to somebody who's woke that's upset for something that I said. Never will do it. Never have done it. Do you know why? Because they're not satisfied. They don't actually want an apology. They want to destroy you. Okay? And this is what I don't think people understand about the way this process is going. It's like going swimming with a shark. The shark may not eat you, but it ain't your friend. That's what woke people are. And people who are not woke and don't agree with anybody in them, all right, don't agree with them at all, are like, oh, I'm going to go swim with this great white shark. Oh, look, we're good friends. And then they seem stunned when the great white shark suddenly comes for them. This is why I don't believe in cancel culture. Because cancel culture doesn't end. It's like the French Revolution. Eventually, the revolutionaries themselves get decapitated when they feud with each other. Wokeism is a virus, and it needs to be broken, and it needs to be beaten. And the way that you beat it is by refusing to apologize, refusing to give an inch. Now, I'm not a gun guy, all right? I am not a gun guy at all. But this is actually what the NRA does. People get mad at the NRA because they're like, you'll never compromise. You won't ever give up any of your gun rights. And I got to be honest with you. The NRA is right, because the goal of people who don't like guns isn't to compromise with the NRA. It's to take away Second Amendment rights, period. They're not going to be satisfied because suddenly you say, oh, we're not in favor of X, right? Because their goal is not to take some small measure of your rights away, their goal when they are combating the NRA is to end gun ownership. People who are trying to tear down our statues hate America. They want to destroy everything that we stand for. You cannot negotiate with them. Somebody just said, Clay said he's not a gun guy. I'm not the kind of guy who's got like 15 guns. I respect the fact that some people are gun guys. I respect the fact that some of you have 20 guns and they're around everywhere. I'm not a gun guy, but I respect the rights of gun owners in the country because of their constitutional rights. And I also respect the fact that the NRA will go toe-to-toe with the woke community to fight for what they believe in, instead of trying to make friends with them and eventually allowing them to turn on you. All right? This is an important lesson out there. You can't negotiate with the woke virus community. You have to fight them with everything that you've got. You cannot give an inch because they will take a mile and they will destroy you in the process. Dak Prescott has signed his franchise tag. Says he's also not going to hold out. I don't understand how the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott have not gotten a deal done yet. They must have Rob Manfred and the Major League Baseball Players Association, Tony Clark, negotiating with them, because this is the longest ongoing negotiation this side of baseball. Doesn't make any sense. Look, Dak Prescott is somewhere around the 15th best quarterback in the NFL. That's not bad, right? Especially for a fourth-round pick that nobody believed was going to be very good. The Dallas Cowboys have gotten a ton of value out of Dak Prescott. But if I'm Dak, I'm sitting around saying, wait a minute, you renegotiated with Zeke when he still had a contract left. You got to pay me now. And if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'm saying, look, I'm not willing to give Dak any more than $32 million a year-ish. That's about what his value is on the high end. I think if Dak Prescott was out in the open market right now, I don't think anybody would give him $30 million. So the Cowboys, who already have salary cap issues, cannot play this game and wildly overpay Dak Prescott, in my opinion. But I don't blame Dak. I want as much money as I can if I'm Dak, because I've only made a small amount of money in my first 4 years. I saw you renegotiate with Zeke Elliott while he was still under his rookie contract. Now you won't take care of me. I'd sit out. I wouldn't show up for training camp if I were Dak Prescott. That would be the way that I would respond to this. We got an interesting poll that's up. Which is dumber? Brett Favre on Colin Kaepernick and Pat Tillman. Brett Favre said that Colin Kaepernick and Pat Tillman, quote, did something similar, and so were both heroes. This is one of the dumbest opinions I've ever seen in the year 2020 so far. Let me repeat. Dak Prescott and, Colin Kaepernick and Pat Tillman did something similar, and so they both should be heroes. This is idiocy from Brett Favre. We had this question up. Also idiocy was the idea of changing the Masters name. And we put up a poll, and 35,000 of you have voted, and I said, which one is dumber? Brett Favre comparing Colin Kaepernick and Pat Tillman. Pat Tillman left behind his contract to go serve in the military after 9/11 and died. Or Colin Kaepernick, who made more money kneeling than he did actually playing football. That is a dumb opinion. Or the Masters needing to have its name changed because idiots believe that it's connected to slavery. 52-48, the Masters won as the dumber opinion. That is a battle for the ages in an Outkick poll. All right, I love all of you. My name is Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. Kisses, DBAP unless you need to SBAP. If you enjoy this show, encourage you to share it with your friends. There's a lot of people running scared out there. Guess who's not going to be running scared? Your boy right here. Check out Outkick. Make it a part of your routine in the morning, or certainly on the website where millions of people are reading our content on a weekly basis. Thank you for all the support of Outkick. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis, and I will talk to you tomorrow. See y'all. Love you. Thank you. See you on Facebook. Appreciate all of you.